Dixon Lake Campground is located between Orange County to the north and San Diego to the south. Most people will come in from Interstate 5 and then they'll take the 78 freeway across to Escondido. And then from there, it's just a few minutes to get up into the campground area. This is the map of the Dixon Lake Campground area. And you can see there's a main road that runs underneath the lake here on this map. And there's a check-in area before you proceed to your campsite. And there are 46 sites at this campground. At the lake, you can rent pontoon boats and electric motorboats to go out and fish or to just cruise around. For fishing, you just have to pay a fee. You have to bring your own rod and reel, and they do sell bait up in the concession area for that. Okay, this is site 2. just a short walk down a hill. And you have a picnic table, fire ring, nice view of the lake from down here. You are next to the road here that loops around. And looks like right here would be where you'd want to put your tent. This is site 3. Place to park for the car. And then you go down a few steps. And you have a nice view of the lake here. This is a very nice spot. I'm going to come down a little closer and see. Nice flat spot for the tent, and quite a nice view of the water here. Now let's look at site 4. Place to park your car down here on this little hill. And then you go down some steps. Place for your tent. You could probably put a couple of tents in here. You can see the next side over, but pretty good distance. And over on this side is the picnic table and the fire ring, and you get a nice view of the lake here. This is side 5, and it's pretty steep steps going down a hill here. And it's a very compact little area here. And not very much of a view of the water, just a very tiny view through there beyond those pine trees. This is the restroom between sites 5 and 7. And went inside, they look fairly clean. And they do have showers at this location. I think this is the only bathroom that has showers. And there's no charge for them, so that's a nice bonus. We're walking back to site number 6. It looks like you can drive all the way down the hill here, but I'll just walk it. Well, I have to say while I'm making this walk that this campground has some really interesting, very different types of sites from most campgrounds. Okay, nice big site. Looks like you'd want to put your tent over on this side. Probably easily room for a second tent. Fire pit, which you can't use. Picnic table, looks like it's fully in the shade probably all day. Number 7 is right above this one, so if they're sitting at their picnic table, you're sitting at your picnic table. It's not as private as some, but this is a great site in terms of being down on your own long driveway. You can park pretty close in the site, and then there's just tremendous views of the lake. In fact, toward the end of the day, I think I'd want to set chairs up out here, and then you just have a real bird's eye view of the lake and the mountains off in the distance. This might be the best overall view here. This is site number 7, and you just kind of walk down the hill here. Your car is parked fairly close by and doesn't have a tremendous amount of shade for, I would say, partial shade during certain times of the day for your picnic table, but a nice flat area for your tent. And you're up really high here. You can see down. That's the parking lot where you check in, and there's an area where you can rent things from over there. But in this direction, you really can see the lake. Just fantastic. Over on this side is site number 10. Little area to park your car, and looks like the site will be up top here. So when you come up, it's a nice flat area here for a tent. Pretty good shade in the site, partial shade during the day at your picnic table. And then you can't really see the lake unless maybe over here at the end of the site. Yeah, here at the end of the site, if you set up a chair over here, you can see out to the near where the main area is for checking in. This road here that has numbers 9 through 24 appears to be for people who need hookups for their vehicles. Mainly city views. I can see, like over here on this side, you have a partial view of the lake, but the city views are magnificent on this side. So you can see a big trailer here. They're hooked up to water and electricity. This is site number 24. We're up higher than the ones that have the lake view. It's a smaller site, but it does have room for a tent. And some of these now have views of the city, a city view of Escondido. So if that's what you prefer, they do have mountains in the background, but if you're looking for a city view, the ones up here on this side along this row, it looks like they look right out over the city. Probably really cool to see the lights at night. This is site number 37. Has a driveway that comes up here, a little bit on an angle. And then you have a very quick walk, just a few feet going up to get into your site. It's a very compact site, but it's pretty high up. And let's see, probably somewhere over near where I'm standing here is where you would put your tent, although it doesn't look terribly flat unless you get right over in here near the fire pit and the picnic table. But it does have a view of the lake, and again, you have this crow's nest where you can really see out from here. So this site does have pluses. Space 41 is another secluded site where you have to walk up a hill. And again, it looks like you park here on this pullout, and then you come over and have to walk up with your gear. Let's check it out. Oh my, keeps going. Some of these railroad tie steps are pretty tall. Wow, quite a workout. I think once you get here and get your gear up, you're gonna want to sit back and relax for a while and maybe never leave the site until teardown. Okay, here we are, up at the top. This site is smaller than the other ones that I've seen so far. You can see, looks like they're, well, the fire ring is here, but it looks like it's being worked on. Over here is, I think, where you would put a tent. Probably be pretty easy to put a fairly decent sized tent over there. But here's the payoff for this site. Look at this view. You have a great view of the lake from up here. So this one's worth checking out if you're young enough to lug all your gear up to get here. There is water right here next to space 41, which is also pretty close to space 44 right over there. This is space 42, the entrance. It looks like you park your vehicle in the pullout right over here, but then it looks like there's going to be a walk to go up the hill. So let's check it out. And here's the site. Picnic table, fire ring. Looks like over on this side is where you would put your tent. And here's the view. A bit obstructed over here, but you have quite a view looking out at the distance from this site. And then it continues to go up the hill over there in the back of the site. But anyway, looks like plenty of flat area for a tent. Very secluded, but you do have to walk up the hill to get to this site. Okay, let's check out site number 43. And look at this long driveway. And then it looks like it's going to lead up the hill with some steps. And when you come up the hill here, it's a kind of a small plateau area, but looks like it'll do the job. Over here on this side is your fire pit, and your picnic table's kind of in the middle. And then this area is fairly flat. If you wanted to put a tent there, you could put a tent here, but then I wouldn't be using the fire pit. Although there is a no campfire restriction in place anyway, so if you're breaking propane to create a fire, then you could put your tent anywhere. And I think the advantage of this site is, look at this view. You have a complete panorama view of the lake. Much of it, I would not call this an obstructed view. This is, you can really see down at the lake from here. So this is an awesome site. This is space 44 where I'm staying, so I can take you back into this one, even though it's set up because it's, well, it's my stuff. I think out of the ones I've seen so far, the real positive with this one is you can back your vehicle up right to the big rocks here and then walk down into the site. And it's a huge site. You can see that over on this side is where I set up the tent. And there's still, I actually didn't put it to the far left edge, but even so, there's room for at least a little bit smaller of a tent over here. But you can definitely put two tents probably in this site. And then over on this side is the picnic table and the fire pit. And they do have a no campfire policy. So you have to bring in propane, or they also allow charcoal here. So I have a little ammo box propane fire thing for the evenings. But this site has, it is a partial view, I guess you'd say, but it is pretty back in here. And if you come over to the back of the site, you get a much better view of the water from here. Gorgeous distant view there.